Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing fine. Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. Like I promised in my previous tutorial to make a matching skirt, you guys asked for one. This is going to be the most easiest crochet pattern you ever worked on. The skirt is super simple to work. I decided to use the elastic band method, so you will be needing an elastic band, and I used a medium weight yarn and a 4 millimeter for the entire tutorial. I will list all the materials and all the stitches and every details down in the description box below. So let's get right into the video. Enjoy, and I'll see you guys in my next video. So to get started, we are going to make a slip knot, and you're going to chain in multiple of 3 to get your desired skirt length. In my case, I ended up chaining 90 chains. So a multiple of 3 in this case is any number that can be divided by 3. So you're going to make a long chain. For reference, my skirt was about 18 inches. So if you want yours to be longer, you are just going to add the amount of chains in multiple of 3. And if you want yours to be shorter, you're going to add the amount of chains in multiple of reduce the amount of chains in multiple of 3. So I am just going to go ahead and chain a total of 90 chains. Right here, I have a total of 90 chains. For the first row, you are going to chain 1, and after chaining 1, you're going to skip the next 5 chains. So you're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into your 6th chain, you are going to insert a single crochet. And a single crochet is basically go into the chain, grab the yarn and pull through, and when you have 2 loops, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 2 loops. That is how you work a single crochet. From here on, you are going to chain 3. You're going to skip the next 2 chains. So I'm skipping 1, 2, and into the 3rd, I am going to insert another single crochet. From there on, you're going to chain 3, sorry, skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the 3rd with a single crochet. Chain 3, skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the 3rd with a single crochet. And this is what you're going to repeat until you get to the end of the row. For the next row, which is row 2, you're going to chain 6 and turn. And right into this very first chain 3 space, which is this one, you are going to insert a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, insert your crocee hook into the chain space, grab the yarn and pull through. You should have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that is how you work a double crochet. From there on, you are going to chain 3, and into this next chain 3 space, you are going to insert a double crochet. Right from there, you're going to chain 3, into this next chain 3 space, a double crochet. And this is what you're going to repeat until you get to the very end of the row. So chain 3, insert a double crochet into your chain 3 space. So coming to the very end, you're going to chain 3, and right into this last space, you're going to insert your last double crochet. And that is honestly how you end off your second row. For your third row, you are going to chain 5 and turn. And into this very first chain 3 space, you are going to insert a single crochet, chain 3, into this next chain 3 space, a single crochet, chain 3, into this next chain 3 space, a single crochet. And that is honestly what the pattern is made up of. So you're going to repeat this until you get to the very end of the row, and you're going to now alternate between row 2 and row 3. So a double crochet row and a single crochet row. So since we already have a desired length, that means we just need a desired width, which means we have to make this panel wide enough to fit around the waist. Because it's a mesh pattern, I would not suggest you make this wide enough to fit around your hips, because when you make your waist, use your waist measurement and single crochet everything together, it would eventually be wide enough to fit around your hips, because it is a super stretchy pattern. So just make sure you continue to repeat row 2 and row 3 until you have something wide enough, just like mine. So right here I have my panel. You guys did see the way it looks. So we are now going to seal the two sides together. You can decide to add a split to this. I think you can. The only reason why I'm not going to do that because I feel like the mesh is already see-through. Adding a split will just add to how revealing this is going to be. So I'm just going to decide to close the both ends. So you're going to just fold the two ends of your panel together. Just like that, and you are going to carefully single crochet all the way to the very end. For reference, I did a total of 34 sets. Again, a set is basically row 2 and row 3 together. That is what gives you a set. So I'm going to go right into this very first stitch. And I'm going to just slip stitch, and from there on I'm carefully going to go to each and every stitch into one side of the panel and then the opposite and single crochet. You can use a needle for this, you can use a slip stitch for this, but I just prefer to use a single crochet as always. Hey guys, so I just finished single crocheting the two ends, so now we have one entire panel. You can decide if you want the seam area to be at the side, at the center, or at the back. This is totally up to you. What we're going to do from now on is we want to make sure that the waist can actually fit our waist. So now you have it a little bit wider than usual. So the waist can fit the hips, which is perfect. So we want to make sure that the waist can fit our waist. Then we have the snatch loop. For me, I'm going to just leave mine at the center, the back, because that's just where I like to put my seam. And this is going to be the upper part of my panel. So I'm going to grab my elastic band. I want you to know you can also use a drawstring method for this if you don't have an elastic band. I honestly just like to use an elastic band because I just don't like the way drawstrings look. And I have an elastic band. If I didn't have one, I would use an elastic band, a drawstring method. But we are going to just first make a foundation row around the very top before we attach the elastic band. So right there, I'm just going to reattach my yarn. And I'm going to, because this seam is going to be the center, I'm just going to start there by chaining one, and I'm going to carefully go into every chain with one single crochet stitch. So right there, I'm going to go with a single crochet, there with a single crochet, there with a single crochet all around. This is going to be like a foundation chain. So after this row, if you want to do a drawstring, all you're going to do is just do another, so maybe 3 sets of rows, and then you're going to make a chain separately and attach that. That is for everybody that wants to make a drawstring instead of elastic method. Or maybe you just don't have an elastic band with it, that's also fine. So I'm just going to repeat a single crochet row all around. So coming to the very end, we are going to find a very top stitch and slip stitch right into it, just so we can end off the row. So you can see that I still have one last stitch right before my seam. I am going to insert my last single crochet into that stitch, and right after I'm going into the very first on the opposite side with a single crochet, and I'm gonna go into the top with a slip stitch as well, and that is just going to end off the row. Again, like I mentioned, you can go ahead and do a few more rows just so you can have a solid, if you want to have a solid foundation, or if you want to use a drawstring method. But if you're using an elastic method as me, you can just stop right there. So we are now going to grab an elastic band so we can attach that to the skirt. So for my elastic band method, I always like to use my waist measurement as a guide for me to cut my elastic band, because if I use my hips, it is eventually going to get wide, and we all know an elastic band also stretches, so especially the tiny ones that are always used, these ones, they stretch so wide. So right there, I'm just going to take my waist measurement with the elastic band in the unstretched form. So you don't want to stretch the band while you're taking this measurement, because when you eventually stretch it, the guide is just for it to fit your hips, right? So I do not stretch my band when I'm taking the measurement for my waist. I'm just going to take my exact waist measurement, and then I'm going to cut it right there. I also like to make a loose knot because then I need a circle. So I don't want to sew this. If I'm making this for someone, I would sew it. But just because I'm making this for myself, I honestly don't want to go through the entire process of that. So I like to make just a loose knot. So if I need to go back and readjust that, I will be able to. So now I'm going to just attach my crochet hook into my working yarn with a loop, and right there you can see that I'm grabbing my elastic band with my left hand. You want to be able to flex around your left and your right hand because one hand has to hold the yarn and elastic while the other one is your working yarn, working hand. So right there you can see that I'm going to go into the next single crochet, and the goal is to make sure that the crochet hook goes underneath the elastic band, and that's the way you're going to have your single crochet or whatever stitch you decide to use for this attachment to go around the band. So once you go there, you can see that I'm using a single crochet, and I'm going to grab the yarn and single crochet. From there on, I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going into the next stitch with a single crochet. So I'm going right in there with a stitch and making sure that the crochet hook goes underneath the elastic band. I am going to grab the yarn, and when I have two loops, I'm going to yarn over and pull through. Again, I'm going into the next stitch, still making sure that the crochet hook goes underneath the elastic band. I'm going to grab the yarn, pull through. When I have two loops, pull through again. Again, I'm going into the next single crochet stitch, making sure my crochet hook goes underneath the elastic band. I'm going to grab the yarn and pull through. When I have two loops, yarn over and pull through the same, all two loops. That's honestly what you're going to do all around until you have the entire elastic band or the entire single crochet stitches on the elastic band, and until you get to the opposite side of the knot we just made. So right there you can go ahead and take off the loose knots because you need to readjust the elastic band around the waistband. You want to make sure that it's not too tight on some specific places, but at the same time you want to you honestly just want to evenly stretch the elastic band as you go. You don't want to make sure that the elastic is see-through, so not like you're skipping stitches or there are gaps in between each single crochet stitch, but at the same time it's not like the elastic band is gathered at one end. You want to evenly just spread the elastic band around the skirt, and then you can go ahead and make a tight knot because at this point you know your elastic band is perfect. So right there you can just go ahead and just make a tight knot just to secure the band. You can go over and over again with few more knots just to make sure it's super secure before we seal everything. And now that you have your knot secure, we are going to end off the row by going into our working yarn. And what I usually do is just go into the very first single crochet that I made. Very first, I am going to go into the very top of that stitch with a slip stitch. And I like to just chain one right after and cut off my yarn. And I'm going to grab the elastic band that is showing on the opposite side and bring that inside because you want to just make sure that the entire elastic band will be inwards and not outwards. And I'm just from there on going to sew in my loose end. So that yarn that I just cut off, I'm going to sew that into the skirt and do the same thing with the elastic band as well. I honestly do this method just because I don't want to just cut off the elastic band and give it this, because when you just cut it off there's a possibility that it might unravel, especially if you don't make a secure knot. So I like to just sew the elastic band the same exact way just so it's secure before I cut off the excess end. And of course I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side before I cut everything off. And this leaves us with the final skirt. You can go ahead and do another single crochet row around the edge of it if you have time and if you want to. Obviously you can do that. I honestly am making this for myself, so guys, I cannot be bothered, but I would suggest you do that if you're making this for someone because I feel like it always gives you a solid edging to your piece. I always love a single crochet is just the best. It just makes everything delicious at the very end. And this brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and also learned something from it. If you do, make yourself one, tag me on Instagram at Mihankushea. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.